Hey, hello. Welcome to episode number 99 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choi. What's up? If you're new here, what I do is interview people from all walks of life, most often comedians and other artists about their lives and careers. The conversation is casual, but I also ask everyone to highlight someone they love, someone who they admire, who influenced them, inspired them, or supported them. For more, check out peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's peoplewelovepodcast.com. And the Instagram handle is at peoplewelovepodcast. And you can find me on Instagram as well at Adam Choit if you want to follow me too. And it's the same on Twitter at Adam Choit. And please remember to tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And of course, 5-star positive reviews on iTunes are greatly appreciated as well. So, today's guest is Long Island's own comedian Jared Goldstein, and he recalls phasing out his Long Island accent as an adolescent child actor. And it wasn't always easy for Jared growing up, as he dove into all things Pokemon for an escape. But soon enough, acting led to stand-up, and New York led to LA. But along the way, Jared has had some amazing experiences in the entertainment business, including appearing in a Saturday Night Live sketch written by the one and only Tina Fey. Let's just get started. Here's Jared Goldstein. So it's good to see you today, Jared Goldstein. Thank you for joining me on the Zoom. I appreciate it.
Jared Goldstein.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, where are you from?
That is so funny that that is the first thing that's coming up, because I saw you a while ago perform, and I'm like, I wrote you down on my fucking ideas for guests or whatever, and then I rewatched some of your stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, that dude is from Long Island. That's right.
Yeah, are you from Long Island?
Yeah, I'm from Long Island.
Where?
I'm from Dix Hills. I used to live out in East Meadow also.
Okay, I'm from Woodmere.
Yeah, Nassau County.
Yeah, 5 towns.
Yeah.
Jared.
Yeah. It comes out, I guess. It's funny because we were talking for like 5-10 minutes before we started, and you would not have hesitated to like, where the fuck are you from if you hadn't heard.
Here's the thing. I joke that is the proper pronunciation of my name. Because when I moved here, everyone was like, Jared. And I was like, well, that sounds so odd to my ears. And I love to go home and call an Uber and have the guy, pull over, and he's like, Jared. And I'm like, yes, Jared.
Yeah, I don't even notice a difference in like how do the people out here say it? What's the
it's like, instead of like, Jared, you want an orange? Jared, you want an orange? Like, Jared, would you like an orange?
Should we just do this the entire
I think we should.
We probably can. I was gonna ask, how are you holding up though, so far this year, and are you having a happy new year so far, and during these crazy times?
Far. I know, right? Things are crazy.
But in your world.
Yeah, no, things feel good. You have a meltdown every it seems like every 9 to 11 days. And I didn't mean to make a 9/11.
Yeah, I
did not mean to do that. But yeah, it's like basically once every week and a half, I absolutely freak out when I see the wrong headline on Twitter about LA. But otherwise, we're getting by, and we're doing what we can.
Space out your freakouts. Don't have bigger freakouts every 9 to 11 days. Have smaller ones every 4 to 6 days. I've kind of been doing that. Okay. I've been managing my freakouts more. I mean, space them out more. It's just microdosing, I'm microdosing and freakouts.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try that, because I've been binging and purging.
Well, let's get into it. Tell me about your life, and I guess we'll go back to Long Island and tell me about what are the early memories from even before elementary school, or when you're real young. Tell me about your family, whatever.
I was born in Brooklyn. My earliest memories are of the corner store where my sister and I would get snacks after school. We'd watch Woody Woodpecker. I have it's not a memory. It's it's a memory, but it's like a memory of like me being like 7 watching a video of me being 3. So I know that it's not like truly a memory from being 3. When people say that they have memories from like being like 2 years old, I'm like, you're so full of shit. You narcissist. You don't remember that. But it seems like people really do. And it seems like maybe you do because you're looking at me like maybe you have memories from when you were 2.
No, I was going to say that I brought up that point on this podcast before that like that I guess that I'm, that people don't remember things from 2 years old or 3 years old. What they
Mm.
remember is watching a video when they were 7 or 8 of them at 2 years old and 3 years old. And remembering
Yes.
that.
That's what
Or
I mean,
seeing
that's,
photographs or hearing stories about yourself or quotes
yeah.
repeated to yourself over the years.
Yeah. So I have memories like that of like and it's always like of like a Christmas or something. Like it's never like something so mundane. So yeah, and then when I was like 6, we moved to Long Island, and then I was there until I was 17. Moved to New York City, lived there for a while. When I was 22, I moved here to LA.
What about the first move? Was that tough? Do you remember that as a 5, 6 year old, or
Yeah,
is that fuzzy?
yeah. Well, only because like the strongest memory was my cousins being like, "You're pussies, you're gay pussies," for moving from Brooklyn to Long Island. Like, oh, you're rich, you gay pussies.
That's what jumps out at you, or what they were saying when you were 5, 6 years old.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, I guess we're gay pussies, but we're rich. That's cool. I didn't know we were rich as
Yeah, you believe
hell.
everything. You believe everything you hear when you're impressionable,
Yeah,
or
yeah. So then we
whatever it
moved.
is.
Yeah, we moved to Woodmere, which was a predominantly Italian neighborhood. It was like a middle class Italian neighborhood next door to a very wealthy Jewish neighborhood. We are Jewish, but we are middle class, and I guess class, sort of rules all. So that's where we ended up in Woodmere. But we went to like a joint high school schooling, public school situation. So we were all always kind of mixed together, and also had like a really like well funded public school because Hewlett, the town one over, was so like wealthy.
Yeah. So it was you, your sister, mom, and dad. That was your family.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Japanese mother, Jewish dad,
So were you
hot sister.
yeah? What'd you say?
I said hot sister. She's really hot. She really is.
So you're mixed race. Is that mixed race? And what about like your religion? Were Jewish and you celebrated Christmas as well? Like what?
Yeah, well, we weren't super religious. Like we were just kind of there, It
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
how most people are these days.
yeah, it was just like New York. It was the '90s. We were just like, yeah, here we are. Let's listen to Z100, play N64, go to the cousin's house on the day for the cousins. Also, like my dad's sister. So my dad is Jewish. My mom is Japanese Buddhist, but like neither one of them were very religious. Um, my dad's sister married an Italian man, and then they had a really big family. And Brooklyn Italian men and women are very charismatic. So they kind of really took over the whole vibe of the family, which I think is common, especially in New York. There really is like a thread between like Italians and Jews. But like, yeah, our family it felt as Italian as it did Jewish, which was not very. We basically would just like, there was like Ziti
Yeah,
and there was
it's cultural.
Hanukkah, but it was like no one knew what nobody was really like overthinking it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
were you a close family though? It sounds like a
We
fairly
really
close.
were. We really, really, really were. We used to all get together every, my Long Island accent wants to come out, and I'm so fighting it as I talk to you. Like every third, I want to say all, like,
Because you want to hide it because you're so used to like hiding that in your performances or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, yeah. Well, I was a child actor, so I started to kind of phase it out like naturally. That wasn't natural, but it was sort of like wasn't like some big effort, but it was an effort to phase it out like around like 12, 13. But it comes out, and I'm feeling very I'm feeling very insecure about my Long Island accent.
I hope I don't derail your performing abilities. I'm gonna get into your head and you're gonna go on a downward spiral
I'm
for
like, hey, wait,
the next
can we
10
cut? Can we
auditions.
cut? Can we actually cut this podcast? Can we cut?
No, no, no. What about I was gonna ask, what kind of kid were you like when you were, 5, 6, elementary school age? What were you into? I know you got a big
Um,
family going on.
yeah, big family. But what I was going to say is that we would get together every Sunday, and we'd have Chinese food, and we'd have rice and gravy, and every single Sunday we'd all hang out. And and even now we're still very close too. Like we see each other all the time, and um, like when last year, well, not last year, the year before last year, I was traveling a lot, and my parents would like come meet me places, and that was so fun. And I am as annoyed with them as anyone is with their family, which is very. But yeah, we do spend a lot of time together, so we are close in that way specifically. But as a kid, I was just like really gay and like soft, and in Brooklyn, where like that was at the time extremely discouraged and unpopular.
That must have been really hard, like really hard, I imagine, I
Yeah.
would think.
Actually, one of my actual earliest memories um, is falling down and for the first time not crying when I was probably like, I don't know, 5, 4 or 5. I fell down and I remember I hurt my knee, and it was the first time in my life that I was like, wait, 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 no, no, don't cry. And I was like, but wait, 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 I want to cry. I fell down. I want to cry. And I was like, no, 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 just don't cry. Like, don't be a little baby girl. And then I didn't cry. And I was like, that's actually one of my first memories. That is like
Ha-
of mine.
has that toughness or ability to hold back tears when physically, injured? Did that stick with you at all?
No, no, it was a skill that
Oh,
I always wanted and never had, like never attained. No, and now
yeah.
I cry. I cried this morning. I love to cry. I love to cry. I don't ever stop myself from crying.
Yeah, no, I'm sort of becoming a little bit more that way, a little more emotional in my older years for sure. I think it's you don't want to hold back. I
Oh,
definitely
what's
cry
the
more from
point?
the emotional stuff than I can handle the physical pain. It's the emotional things that of life that are harder.
Oh yeah. I like to cry in the morning. That's my thing.
Yeah,
A
it's
first thing in the morning cry is ooh.
Are we're talking like privately though. We're not talking about like crying. I get in public. We're talking about just kind of like almost like a
Private.
Yeah, like what we're talking about really is like a meditative kind of like
Yeah,
release. I
it
think
really
is
is.
what we're talking about. We're not talking about. It doesn't even. I mean, sometimes fucking crying don't even know why. I mean, it could be anything given this world. Take your pick. So I
Yeah.
I get it. I get it, man.
I get sometimes I'm insecure about crying in front of people because I think that they'll see how much I like it.
Right. That's definitely part of it. Yeah, exactly.
Like they're gonna be like, "You fucking actress demon," like that kind of vibe, you know?
It's not really. Maybe it's better to be private anyway because it's more for you anyway. In the end, is
Oh
it not?
yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God, yeah. And I haven't been seeing my therapist like regularly since like a long time now. So that would be like a pretty good regular place to go and just kind of have like a moment to do that. And I don't have that now. So I just do it at home. I just wake up. I had a nightmare. I had a dream. I think about it. I put on a sad song. Just let it rip.
You're processing and releasing, processing, and you're your own therapist.
Oh God, it feels so good. When I like try to catch my breath, the sound of myself catching my breath while crying is, mm.
It does kind of make you feel alive in a way,
Oh
in a strange
yeah,
way. You know what
yeah.
ruins it though for me? You see yourself. That ruins it.
because
Take
you
takes you
look
out of the moment almost. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't want to
kinda.
fucking see myself crying in the mirror. It's like I feel if you see yourself cry, it's not even so much I'm ashamed of crying. It's more like, dude, shouldn't you be like doing something else right now? It's like, what are you doing right now?
You haven't mopped in months.
Yeah. Oh man, we went on a tangent, but that was I'm interested in that, so that's
Love to cry.
love to cry. But what about when you were young? You probably were you crying in Brooklyn when it was being? I mean, you knew you were gay, but you.
Well, I didn't really know yet because I didn't really start
What
figuring
did you
that
know? Yeah,
out.
how did that work for you?
Yeah, I didn't start figuring it out till like 9, 10, 11. And there's 9/11 again. Something's going on with me. What am I thinking about 9/11 for? Um, so yeah, I mean, I was too young, you know? So I didn't know that, I didn't even know what gay was. I just knew that like I was like weak and like everyone kept calling it out. And I'm like, fuck, fuck, fuck.
Did you feel weak or like how were
Yeah.
you? Were you a small kid or like were you not
Yeah. I was
strong?
like a late bloomer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like small, like I wasn't very athletic. I was bad at sports. That was like my whole thing for a while. It was just like, oh, that's Jared, he's bad at sports. Um, so yeah, it was just very clear that there was like something different about me and that like wanted when I was a kid, I was like, my deepest fear as a kid was that I was trans. And I didn't even know the word trans, but I just had this fear. I was like, do I want to be a girl? That's all I could even fathom, like what was happening to
You
me.
were a little confused, maybe,
Yeah. And I was
but
like,
everyone is like, because you're a kid, like you don't know, you like no one knows what the fuck is going. Like you're a kid, so it's like sort of.
yeah, yeah. I truly just, I remember sitting in the stairs up to my attic and just thinking, like, if I let these feelings grow, I think I'm going to turn into a girl and then I'll be in so much trouble. And that's what I used to think.
Damn, that's hard. It's
Oh,
hard enough to
yeah.
be a kid on top of dealing with something like what you're going in your mind.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. You could just sit around and just think horrible things all
What
the
about
time.
your interests and passions? Were you or did you have any and things like that brought you
Yeah.
joy when you were young?
I
Mm.
loved Pokemon so much. Oh my God, I
The
loved
fucking
it.
video game, the cards? I don't know
All of
anything
it.
about I don't know anything about that.
How old are you?
I'm 38. It's not
Oh, you
so I
look really
should
young.
yeah I should know, but I yeah I don't
No, I
know.
mean, I think you're the age that you wouldn't know. That makes sense. I thought you were like 28.
No, I appreciate that. It's my moisturizer.
You look
That's
great,
it's not my moisturizer. Thank you. We could do this the whole
right?
the whole podcast.
But here's the thing, when I was a kid, I used to think that I was like such a lame freak who was way too old to be liking this thing called Pokemon. And I was just like, this is so weird. Me, I'm the weirdest loser to like Pokemon. And what it was, and the thing is, that was actually pretty basic of me to like Pokemon. And now, all these years later, it's still popular. Like it's like over 20 years later, it entered the zeitgeist for good to stay. Like it was such a normal thing to like, but as a kid, I used to be so ashamed of it, and I think I was just sublimating my shame about being gay into that because I just couldn't deal with it yet. So it's like easier to be ashamed of Pokemon than it was to be of like sex.
Yeah. What was it? What about the Pokemon stuff that like kept your attention for so long? Besides like the deep psychological stuff, but like
Yeah.
what about it like is the appeal like
So
of the game,
here's
the
the
cards, the
appeal.
collectibles, the community?
All of it. I liked it all. Not the, I mean, maybe not the community because I truly was like, this is a thing I just did alone.
Okay.
But it's like, I like baby shit. I've always liked baby shit. Like when, like, even like something as simple as like PlayStation, I was like, no, 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 no. That's like adult devil worship. And I can't handle that. So I want Nintendo. Like I was always wanting like even in terms of like I'm on Apple Music, not Spotify. I'm like Spotify is for grown-ups who are sick. And
I don't know if
Apple
that makes.
Music,
I don't know if it's a grown-ups kids thing. It's just like you have you like you have maybe a nostalgic thing to you, or you're set
I
in
don't
your
know what,
ways,
yeah.
or you kind of like. I mean, I'm usually like 20, 15, 20 years behind whatever music people are listening to, so I'm kind of that way with that. But like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're really,
That's just how it, yeah, that's just how it felt. And I really, so Pokemon was perfect because it was like, it was basically like Magic the Gathering or like any of those sort of like like anime manga, but it was like kiddish. It was like so kiddie. Um, so I really liked that, and then also just as like a Type A person who like loved like facts, and I loved organization and like memorization, and there's a lot of that in Pokemon. There's so much because it's like there's 150 of them. Like some of them evolve into the other one. Like they level up. They learn like attacks at different levels. And I loved to just like the rhythm of that was so like so relaxing to me. Just to, like sit and look at a Pokemon book and just like learn about when does Vulpix learn Fire Spin. Like that just
it's another world to escape to,
yes.
basically.
Yeah, and it's like
Not saying that with
cute
judgment, just
and
yeah.
it's malleable. You know what I mean? Like I'm in control of it. It's just like this like yeah, it's exactly that. It's like it's just a control. It's like this cute other world to escape and control. And it's Pokemon. I love it. Loved it. I watch it now. I've also been watching Digimon, which I loved when I was a kid too. And like in the quarantine of everything, I've been watching things from my childhood to just kind of like escape and like forget. And it's been Pokemon and Digimon. And I will say
But
neither really holds up. I hate watching them, both of them now, but I did
you hate it,
love them as a kid.
but you hate it, but you're still watching it. You're still
Yeah,
rewatching it
yeah,
because
yeah,
the nostalgia
yeah.
is that strong.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like the
Can't
episodes
be that bad.
feel
It can't
they're
be
like
that bad.
dragging like 20 minutes never felt so long. I'm like, "Oh my God, like this is so painful." But when I was a kid, it would come on in the morning. Pokemon would come on at 6 a.m. They'd give you an hour block of it, baby, first thing in the morning. And I would have to be at school by like 8:30. So I would normally get up at like 7 to like get ready to get there. Um, but I would wake up at 6 an hour early just so I could watch Pokemon. And 5 days a week, I would get up an hour early just so I could lay in bed and no one disturb me and just watch 1 hour of Pokemon. And it was just heaven. Like I fucking hated school. I hated that I had to do it and that there was like no end in sight. And it's so much school. It's like 5 days a week for months and months and months for years and years. I would be like, okay, it is Tuesday in November and I am a sophomore. I am like so in the woods on this. There's no end in sight of like school. So every morning for 1 hour, I could watch Pokemon for 1 hour, and I would.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
ask, what kind of student were you? You know,
I was a good
middle
student,
school, high
actually.
school. I figured.
Yeah.
I just kind of had a feeling. I was like guessing. I'm like, what kind of student is he? Because I talked to a lot of comedians, like, and it's got everyone. Some people straight A, some people like not as successful in academics. So all over the map.
Yeah, yeah. I think I was just really obedient as a kid, um, and and I guess like pretty smart. Not there was always like smarter students. I wasn't like valedictorian or anything like that, um, but yeah, I did well in school. I just felt like I just believed it, you know? They were like, you must do good if you want a good future. And I was like, okay, so that's
Yeah.
what I want, so I have to do good. And then you like later learn like none of that's true. Oh my God, none of
Right.
that's true. They lied, lied. But, it was too late at that point. I already had a good GPA. I
Yeah. Yeah.
had nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it.
Yeah, part of me believed that too. So enough to like want to get to whatever the next step of life, as we're told, is supposed to be. I don't know.
Yeah. It didn't make college really easy. Because like in my high school, I was like taking APs and stuff, and the teachers were just like demons. They were just like, you think this is hard? Oh, wait. You just wait till you get to college. You don't even know. You don't even know like how hard college is going to be. And college was such a fucking joke. It was an absolute joke. But I guess it was in part was because they prepared us, but it was like an overcorrection by far.
I wanted to ask more about like your high school and life and what you remember about those times and what were you into then, and maybe even what you thoughts of your future. Where did you think your life would be going?
Yeah. I was so into the popular boys. I was so into them. Oh my God.
They were all straight or no?
My hands are sweating as I even just say out loud. I was so into the popular boys.
Were they all
Wow.
straight?
Baby, you know it.
I know they're all straight.
You know they were.
No, there weren't.
And
There weren't.
blonde Jews, straight blonde Jews. Like
Wow.
what?
Meant to
Like
torture. Meant to torture
smart,
you.
playing lacrosse, mean as hell. The meanest fucking piece of shits. Like just rich, mean. Also now thriving. They're all fucking bankers with like hot wives. Like they're doing great. Like the whole narrative of like the cool people in high school like burn out and become losers. Not my high school. They're all like rich and they have like kids and they're doing great.
Now, do you know that for a fact that they're
They're
doing
not doing a
great?
podcast right now, I'll tell you that.
Right, because that's kind
Okay.
of
They're in a boat.
right. But what makes them happy? Or like it might be like windy on that boat or something. Like we're
Yeah,
inside and,
I
and
don't.
it's
Yeah, they're probably not
comfortable.
happy. They're probably not happy because I mean, if they're anything like they were in high school, which is probably something, I'm sure they have evolved, but they were just fucking so fucking mean, just like cartoonish. Like if you saw it like in a movie, you'd be like, this is bad writing.
Yeah, it makes me think that people who are that mean kind of evolve because it's almost like it's almost like that's who they think they have to be. So once they
Mm,
realize that they don't have to be that, I don't know, because I just feel I guess what I'm asking you is are people who are that mean even like throughout their lives, can they really be happy even if they're like rich and all these other things? Can you truly be happy?
no.
Can a
Oh
sociopath be
no.
happy? I don't know. Can an evil person
No.
be happy?
Definitely not. No.
Uh,
Um, yeah, no. Also, it's like you adjust so quickly to lifestyle stuff. Like it's so like you get an iPad. Day one, you're like, oh my God, I have an iPad. This is crazy. And then day two, you're like, you're over it. You're moving on. You're like, yeah, I have an iPad. Yeah. Like, yeah, no, it doesn't get you what you hope for.
I was gonna ask, what about comedy and culture and music stuff? Like, were you watching certain TV shows or whatnot?
Yeah,
And stand up? Were you into stand up when you were growing up,
no,
or not at
not
all
at
through high
all.
school or anything like that?
Never, nothing. Like I watched Ellen's specials and I loved them. But that was it. Like I didn't think about it. I didn't think of it as like this is comedy. I like comedy. I just like saw Ellen's special on HBO, loved it. Thought there was another one, watched that one, loved that one. I just couldn't. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. I love. There were like three of them, and I just loved them.
That planted a seed, maybe, perhaps.
I guess, yeah. But like true, like I didn't even start doing comedy until I was like 26, and even when I started, I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is, huh? Like, it was just like so, like, it just seems so like, there's no way this is, like, it was never this thing that I was like constantly. Also, because I was I don't know if I've mentioned that I was a child actor. Because I was a child actor, I was like, this is what I do. Like, I'm like a singer. I'm like going to do theater in New York. Like, that was like, that felt like this is my identity. And I started that like in middle school, and then I did it like through most of high school. Um,
I see.
yeah, yeah, and like commuting from Long Island to the city for auditions and jobs, and then that kind of really took over like the whole my whole life for that time.
What kind of stuff were you doing when you were a kid acting and through middle school and high school? I'm guessing everything, theater,
Kind
commercials,
of,
film,
yeah.
whatever you can get booked on.
Exactly, truly. Like it's very much like comedy now. It's like you just do whatever anyone reaches out to you about. You'll just try everything.
I
But
got that's why you're here.
yeah,
Living proof.
exactly. But when this is what I tell people, the most exciting and like recognizable things that I did when I was a kid. I was on Broadway. I was in a musical called The Christmas Carol that was at Madison Square Garden. I played Little Scrooge when they go back in time, and I was in a sketch on SNL. Did both of those like between the ages of like 13 and 15.
Wow. Do you remember the SNL sketch? What do you remember about that? Like,
Do I remember it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you must remember. I mean, it's not in like black and white fuzzy picture. I can probably hunt it
Well,
down.
I'll say I did tape it on a tape and then bring it to school because a teacher wanted to see it. So then brought it into school. We played the tape, and then like in every next class I went to, there was always at least one of the same students who would then be like, "Mr. Blauner, Jared was on SNL this weekend, and he has a tape, and he can play it, and he should play it right now." And he's like, and he played it in English, and he should play it now too in social studies. And then the teacher would be like, "What is that? Really? You you were on SNL?" And I was like, "Yeah." And like, "You have a tape? You gonna play it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we just like played it all day in every room. Um, it was incredible. It was so cool. It's called the Fun Friends Club. It's on YouTube and Netflix. It's very easy to find. Um, and Tina Fey wrote it. She later on Howard Stern said that it was her favorite sketch that she ever wrote
Wow.
at her time at the show. Um, it stars Rachel Dratch and Jimmy Fallon. Ray Liotta was the host. He plays Barney in like a Barney style sketch, like kids show. Um,
I think I've seen this, and I think I've heard the interview with Tina Fey also on Howard Stern.
oh
I have
yeah,
if this kind of rings a bell, but yeah, go
yeah.
on.
So Rachel Dratch, the joke is that we've come back from hiatus and the kids have all gone through puberty and they can't be in the show anymore. So Rachel Dratch now has big boobs. And Jimmy Fallon plays the director, Ray Liotta's Barney. I played Zhao Ping and my voice changed. And I'm like the button of the sketch, and the announcer Don Pardo played my voice, and I walk over and I kind of tap Jimmy on the shoulder, and then Don Pardo's like, "Excuse me, may I go to the bathroom?" And I'm
That's
like this
funny,
little kid. Um,
dude. That's awesome.
and it was incredible. It was so cool. I'll never shut up about it. I'll talk about it till I'm dead. But
As you
here's a
should.
cool thing. About a year ago, a friend of mine, she texted me and she was like, "Were you in a sketch on SNL?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And I thought maybe she'd saw it. I'd made a joke about it on Twitter once or something, or maybe someone had told her or I told her something. And she was like, "I'm in Tina Fey's room right now." I think at the time they were writing the Mayor show that just came out. And she was like, "I'm in Tina Fey's room right now, and she's playing it for us." And I'm like, "Wait, what? What?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And then and I was like, "Wait, you're with Tina Fey? Tina Fey put the sketch on?" And she was like, "Yeah, yeah. Like we're all in the room and we were talking, and she put it on, and then me and my coworker, we were both like, 'That's Jared. That's Jared Goldstein.'" And then she was like thrilled that we knew who the little boy in the thing was. Um, so that was so fucking cool to think like to this day, like we're both still talking about this sketch, me and Tina Fey. I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sure you guys aren't the only ones. Did you have any interaction with her or anyone else
a
in the
little
cast on
bit.
set?
Yeah, I met everyone. They were all so friendly. Um, we had to sing and dance. So we there was a lot of rehearsal. Like we had to learn these songs and these dance moves and stuff. So
Yeah,
it was
they
like we
needed
were,
talent. It sounds like you weren't there to just be a gargoyle,
yeah,
a plan. A potted plant.
yeah.
You're there to do
They
stuff.
needed a little Asian boy who could sing and dance. And honey, Jared Goldstein. We know Jared Goldstein can do it.
He could do a lot of things. He could do a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, to play Zhao Ping.
the
So,
range.
a chameleon. Um, so yeah, I was her husband, who like later became very famous through like 30 Rock and like being incorporated in all of her work. Her husband, he was teaching us the music. We were in like the tiniest little closet, like the tiniest, teeniest closet. All these kids and I forget his name, and Tina Fey's husband, Mr. Fey, and he's playing the piano. He's teaching us the music, and and then she just open the door opens and it's Tina fucking Fey. And the thing was that like us kids, we were all supposed to be like 9, 10 years old, 11. um, but I was 14 and I just looked 9 with all these actual 9 year olds. So I was the only one who even knew where I was. Like all these kids had
What
no
the?
idea. But I was a teenager, and at the time, like Jimmy Fallon had come out with a song, and I was like, "This is." I was like watching SNL, like I knew exactly where I was and who all these people were, and I couldn't believe it. The door opened, and it was Tina fucking Fey, and she had like just started doing like Weekend Update, so she was like very like seen, known, and famous at the time. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's Tina Fey. That's incredible." And then just throughout the day, you know, you walk through the halls and it's like there's Tracy Morgan and like there's Maya Rudolph and like that was the cast at the time. It was incredible. Just Horatio Sands, Fred Armisen, like just incredible. Um, and then doing it was really fun and then you kind of realize like how like weird and tiny TV is and like all the sound stages are like much smaller than you'd think and like there's so much less audience there than you'd think and very interesting.
No, yeah, for sure. Wow. Did do you remember like were you an admirer of Tina Fey at that point in your life?
I was.
Were
I mean,
you watching SNL at the time? I'm guessing.
yeah, I was a really big fan of Jimmy Fallon. I was like an actual full blown just fan of Jimmy Fallon. So to get to meet him was so exciting. And when I met him, he did this bit where like he had a coffee cake, and he takes a bite of the coffee cake, and he's like, "Nice to meet you," and he's spitting coffee cake all over me. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Jimmy Fallon is spitting coffee cake on me. And I think I maybe even told him like I love your song, and he's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And then he goes and greets the other kids, and he does it again, and he's like, "Nice to meet you," and he's spitting all his coffee cake all over these kids.
This was during that sketch during
No,
the
no, no, this was just like during rehearsal, like getting to know each other.
what the
Yeah, that's
rehearsal for that sketch or just
for the sketch, but that
oh
wasn't. It
okay.
was not in the sketch. Like, it was not in the sketch.
I
It was
gotcha.
just being a silly man meeting kids, and he thought,
That's
it'd be funny
funny.
if I spit coffee cake all over them, and it was incredible. I loved it.
Yeah, are you able to like contain yourself? I mean, I'm guessing so, but like, be professional because you had enough acting experience to know, to respect those sort of you know, what do you call it, boundaries or whatever, and not
Yeah,
be too much of a fanboy, or are you able to kind of have a good balance and like, be like, oh, like how did that play out for you
I
in your
think
head
like
even?
I think because I started when I was young, um, I like I definitely go the other way. I don't. I'll like pretend not to know someone if I think it'll just help me get through the day a little bit more easily. And then also moving to LA, like I moved to LA just like on a whim. My friends who were actors who were doing well and like starting to like book roles and fly out of New York to LA to work, I would go visit them and just like have so much fun. And then that's why I decided to move here because I was just like, I'm in New York, I'm miserable. Like I just finished college. I don't want to go to grad school. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Let me just go to LA for a little while. And moved here and immediately just started going to parties at the Chateau Marmont. and like being at like clubs in Hollywood with these actors who were like, they were very, my friends were very much like on the track of like being a young actor in Hollywood and like that whole community. And I certainly was not, but I got to tag along basically. Um, so I was meeting like all these famous people like right away. Um, like one of my first nights in LA, I'm in Lindsay Lohan's like penthouse suite at the Chateau Marmont. And like, I'm like, what am I doing? What am I? This is crazy. And this was like pre burnout, Lindsay Lohan. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it was just a lot of those sort of nights of like, I'd be at like a bar and it was just like a super normal, like, get me a Moscow Mule. I have ombre highlights, you know, it's like 2013, get into it. And then I'm going to shake someone's hand, and like as our hands are meeting, I'm realizing this is Ryan Gosling, and I'm like, oh, hey. Um, so like I was just like forced to pretend like it was normal, and that was like I think just in general in life, but specifically like in Hollywood and in this industry, it's been helpful. But it was a huge like skill to learn to know that like you can fully just act normal around a really famous person. And all you have to do is just decide to be normal, and then you can do it. And then I got like a
Yeah.
lot of practice with it of like just being surprised by like, oh, that's Carrie Mulligan, and just talking to Carrie Mulligan. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. You know, so that was like it was a very cool like life thing. Like it granted it is extremely superficial. It's about as superficial as one could be, but I think it does sort of teach you like an important, deeper lesson um, about like how to treat other people.
Yeah, part, partly about being authentic and being real, and not, because no one wants to be treated differently based on, on their celebrity status. They want to be treated as a person.
Yeah,
I assume.
totally, totally, yeah. And then also like I think it also encouraged me to treat like all people a little bit better, because then like you'd see people who were like, especially in LA, you see these people who treat famous people really well, and then treat maybe service people really poorly. And then that's just like, ugh, like I don't want to be like that at all. So like when I bump into Carrie Mulligan at a party, I want to treat her the same way I will treat anyone else, you know? So it was like this great equalizer of like, okay,
Sure.
like dropping myself into these like Hollywood parties, like it helped me like become less um like status driven.
Sure.
But it was so fun. It was so fun to like
I
meet Carrie
bet.
Mulligan and talk, and like it became like this fun game of like, oh cool, like I wonder like what fun famous person I'll meet that I can just be pretend to be totally normal around. And then I'll call like my mom and dad and they'll be like, Jared. And I'll tell them all about, you know, I shook Ryan Gosling's hand.
Damn, that's cool. Cool stories. Cool stories. For sure. What about stand up? How did you find your way into stand up comedy?
Yeah. So I'm in LA. My friends are actors. They're all doing great. They're getting scripts
And so are
delivered to
you.
their
I mean,
house.
that's what you were pursuing at the time and up to
Yes.
this point.
Yeah.
I'm assuming,
So
yeah.
basically, like after my voice changed, I got fired from this high profile musical. I never worked again, and I just thought, well, what the fuck am I going to do? So I was like, I guess I'll just keep acting because what else? I don't know. I don't know anything else. So I kept acting, and it was like fine, like good, not great. And then moved to LA, kept acting just out of like I don't know what the fuck to do. And it was again, it was just like a lot of good, not great. Like I'd get like a cool job, but like truly it would be like one day, and they'd be like each one would be a year apart. So it was like, what do I do for 364 days? Um, and then it was just like 22 became 23, became 24, became 25, and I was just like it just wasn't changing. And I wasn't, in spite of like and that's the thing too. It's like people say all the time like, oh, it's who you know, kid. Hollywood's all about who you know. I was like, I know Ryan Gosling, and I can't get a job. Like it's not about it's not about who you know. Like, it's just not about who you know. Um, and then also something that, yeah, it's like, it's just not that way. And anyway, so how did I get to stand up was I basically just got so tired of like going to Bud Light callbacks in Santa Monica and not getting the job, which was like just so often. And like driving like an hour there in like a zip car, in like a rental zip car, because I just didn't really want to commit to buying a car ever. Um, and then like walking in, saying two words, and then basically just them looking out of the room. And you're just like, this is humiliating. And then like you get back in your rental car and you're just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? So then I thought, okay, well, what is it that I really want to do? And then I came up with stand up and hair. Those are the two things that
you
I
made a
really
you made
want.
a list that you made sort of a list,
Yeah, of
and
two things. I just said like, okay,
no,
like I've never asked myself this. What is after? I mean, after like as an adult, I'd never asked myself like, what is it that I want to do? Like truly, like if I could think of like dream things, like what would they be? And it was stand up and then hair. And I thought, okay, well, I try stand up for free. When it doesn't go well, I will do hair, and I'll move back to New York where it's like easier to like you don't need quite as many like hours to get certified, and then that'll be a perfect reason why I should move back to New York, and then that'll be great, and I'll just fade into gay mediocrity as a drunk hairstylist somewhere in Brooklyn, and I still might. I mean, that sounds like a really good way to do it. Um, but I started doing stand up and then I liked it and it went really bad for like probably 3 months. But then the whole time I was like, yeah, it went really bad for Seinfeld too for three, like for the first few months. So like, it's like, I'm like, it's okay that it's not going well. And then it started to slowly just get like a little bit better and a little bit better. And yeah, I just kept with it.
that's awesome. Tell me about like the early days, I guess. Like, what was it, about your material and what helped you get better? I mean, what, did anybody help you get better? Was it just the reps?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think like in the beginning, it was so scary. Oh God, like every open mic is so scary. And I was at like an 11 of anxiety, like every day. Because I would go every day. Like when I started, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to an open mic, see how it feels. And then I went to one, and then I went to like two. But you pretty quickly realize like that everyone there is not going to one a night. They're going to four a night. And you're not really doing it unless you're going to four a night. And I was like, all right, so let's just do it. So like I really threw myself in 100% from the start. Like, and that was something that I felt really relieved and happy about because
That's great.
as you know, most people you ask them how long you've been doing stand up, and they go, technically 7 years, but the first year I didn't really, 6 years. I really started 6 years, and like most people answer in that sort of a way. And I started when I started. Um, and I was stressed the whole time. All of my internalized homophobia just awash in self hatred. Um, I thought that I had like evolved and like grown past those feelings, but I realized I just had like curated the people that I was around. And now that I was suddenly like constantly like in a circle of straight men who, by the way, were not homophobic, but just triggered within me that feeling of being in high school. Um, yeah, it was very stressful, and then you kind of realize like the you just think that like everyone's gonna remember how bad you did every time, and like if you do bad, then you're stuck as like that guy who's bad, and I was so stressed all the time. But then you kind of realize like, okay, it just takes like one joke to kind of like pull you out of it, and especially in the beginning, it needs to be like a really like it's got to be like really like edge lord kind of like bad in a way to get everyone's attention. Um, so I used to tell this joke about Jared Fogle, and that was like the first joke that like got anyone's attention, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I think just like my type A like nature kind of kicked in, and I was like, oh, okay, like what about that joke is getting people's attention, and how can I like make a carbon copy of that and just keep copying whatever the thing that worked last and just do more of it. Um, and then yeah, that's kind of where and how I got started. And now
Trial,
I'm a
trial,
hack.
trial and error turned hack. What about the community and other comedians and dealing with other people? It was as was that has that been a good supportive experience for you? Have you had
Yeah,
encountered backstabbers or like what's the
not really.
deal with other comedians?
I loved it. I loved it all. I really did. Like for me, like the thing that when I started, the thing that I realized I needed to figure out was my own anxiety and my own internalized homophobia. I started seeing like as it really corresponded like starting stand up and starting therapy. Um, and I just started seeing this man and I would just sob and sob and sob and tell him stories and and then I would go to Mike's, and then I would just like work on material, and like for a few years, it was just I loved it so much, and I will always think fondly on these times of like 3 o'clock going to therapy, and then 4 o'clock going to like UCB Sunset, and like that was just like such a pattern of like I'm working on myself and I'm working on my material. I'm working on myself and I'm working on my material. And then the more that I did that, the community, like it just really opened up to me. And I love it. I loved it. I just felt so at home. I met all these people who were like really nice, good people, but who loved to say bad things. And I loved that. That was so exciting
Yeah,
to just
no,
like,
yeah. I think there's something about that appeals to me as well. Like
yeah,
good people
yeah.
who are not afraid to push limits or challenge. It's the ideas of censorship and things like that, and PC
Yeah,
culture and whatnot.
yeah. That was just I felt very at home with people like that, and it was great. And then and another thing that was like such a relief to be gay. For me it felt like an advantage being gay and like being the only gay person, not the only, but one of few in the room. A lot of times the only person in the room, but one of just a few in the whole scene because it was like I had no distractions. Like I did not envy all of these straight people at these mics who had all hooked up with each other at some point and were like dodging their exes and like whispering about the other and like Facebook groups about what this one said to this one and like
Yeah, that
if
seems like
if open mics if open mics were all like hot gay dudes, I never fucking would have gone. I would have been such a nervous wreck. I would be horrified, mortified, shaken, shook, scared. I would never have gone. So for me, I was like, thank God that I am gay, and there are no gay guys here that I'm attracted to, or there's most times there are no other gay guys here, and I'm here for one reason, and that is to work on this new bit, and then get to the next one, and then get to the next one, and then get to the next one, and see my friends. It was very fun to see your friends, but for there to be no distractions of like that person I hooked up with that one time is here, and that was like such a oof, what a relief, what a
yeah.
relief.
Yeah, it sounds like that. I think about you talking about taking the zip card to Santa Monica and how that would, you were using your time back then versus going from therapy to doing stand up, which I guess is also kind of a form of therapy. And just the use of your time, it just seems like a better use of your time. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
There's nothing if you're an actor pursuing acting and you love acting and you're doing good at it or you're doing whatever everyone's life is different, but just to hear that, I almost get like anxiety thinking about what doing that in that car and the audition being so fast and not getting anything out of it, and then maybe not even really a relationship. Like you're just not really getting anything out of it other than like wasting and your time. But this other approach definitely
Yes,
like it
you
sounds like night
nailed
and
it
day.
right on the head, truly. Like, and people would people love to be like, open mics are the worst. They suck. Oh God, there's a waste. Oh, it's so bad. I would come from an audition for something. I would leave wanting to pull my gorgeous hair out And then I would get to the dumpiest open mic with three people there, and I would get up and I would talk, and we'd have a good time. And in that, there was a singular day where I was probably like 2 years into comedy, where it became so clear to me. I was like, and that is the difference. Like, you have to find, like, anything you want to do, there's going to be a lot of bullshit you have to do, but you need to find the bullshit that doesn't feel like hell to you, that you maybe even like. And with stand up, it was like, I can do 7 million bad open mics. I cannot do one more bad audition. And it's about time. Like, when you go to an open mic and you try your new material, you'll learn something about the joke you're working on, and you're going to get to keep it, or you'll get rid of it and you get to move on to another one. You'll always have something to show for the time that you put in. With these auditions, it's like you can get 7 callbacks for something and then not get it, and then you have nothing to show for it. You can't. You don't get credit for almost getting a job. Like, there's nothing. You have nothing. You have nothing. And with stand up, it's like you put your time in, you get something back.
Right. You can control your destiny more. Tell me more about I mean, maybe some of the other, the highlights of the last few years and what jumps out at you as far as like your LA stand up journey, notable gigs or experiences that,
Yeah.
or
I mean,
lowlights. I don't know.
um,
Challenges.
the thing that I really loved the most was like house party shows, because I was never invited to house parties in high school. So the part of stand up that's like kind of like high school, I was so happy about it, because I
Dude,
was
I'm
like,
learning a lot
oh,
about
I'm going to
myself from
redo
this
it.
interview.
Are you?
Maybe.
What do you learn?
Maybe. No, because I enjoy all the house shows. But I think
Yeah.
that's also might just be because there's drink minimums at clubs, and the house
Oh,
shows do
sure.
tend to be
Yeah.
BYOB free or cheaper in general. So
Yeah.
there's that, but the other thing, the high school stuff too, there might be something to that. But
Yeah.
go on
I
about
was invited
your
to
favorite stuff.
no fun parties, like no American Pie style movie parties, no like She's All That 90s movie, big old cool party. Never nothing. So when there were shows like in like Silver Lake, Silver Lake, it like with like twinkle lights over a keg and like all these young people, I was just like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm in a movie about a party and I get to be in it. And I have like a reason to be here. I'm officially fully invited because I'm on the show. So I loved that. That was like my favorite, like just to get, and then there were so many of them. And then once I realized that I could do so many of them so often, it was just incredible. And then I'd go to my restaurant job in the mornings and run around a drag queen bar and try to make as much money as I could. And then also, but then you're also sort of like you're a waiter. There's a show happening and you're not the show. And there's these drag queens who are doing these incredible numbers, and I'm just there to just like get you your food and like to like slip in and slip out and like make sure it's all happening, and then like completely just like blend in. And then at night I get to do my shows and I get to completely be the show. And I loved that like rhythm of like, in the mornings I'm nobody, at night I'm somebody. In the morning I'm nobody, at night I'm somebody. And I felt like Hannah Montana or something.
That's cool. I mean, you have a good like rhythm and system of approaching your life, and the professional aspect too. It sounds like you're always searching for better systems and whatnot to be more to be more efficient for sure. What about kind of like right now, and what are we working on, and what about future goals, dreams, plans? Let's say everything returns back to semi-normal. What are the plans for stand-up? And I mean, is acting we're still pursuing it? It's kind of like people offer you, you're not actively pursuing it, but you still act. Is that kind of like the
No, I unfortunately am still actively pursuing it. Um,
yeah?
yeah, I'm, if anything, I'm more of an actor now than anything else, just because
Even
of,
then, stand-up.
yeah, I mean, because there is no stand up, and
True. Yeah.
there are productions that are shooting, and I did a CBS show back in like October, And then they had me back again in December, and I hope that they'll have me back again sometime this year. That'd be very nice. So I'm still at it, still
That's
at
cool.
acting. Um, yeah, yeah, and it's been I mean it's been like out of necessity, but it has been really interesting. Like just it was very frustrating to like have found, like you said, to have found a system that works for me uh, in the pursuit of like a career, and then to have that um, no longer be viable,
Yeah, that
um,
stinks.
and to have to kind of like adapt. Um, and it's been a fun sort of, well, not fun, but it's been an interesting challenge, and one that has not, it's not only like a loss, you know, there's some wins, and yeah, you know, I've just been home, staying home and scheming for a future. And that's pretty much what I've been up to lately. And I hope, you know, stand up comes back by the end of the year. And then you know, it's so much to think about. I truly can't even like even open my mind to it. But um, I, of course, would love to return to life as we know it, as we knew it, if as soon as we can, whenever we can, because that would be great. But it's like crazy to even think about because it's just so
Yeah.
crazy to even think about where we are right now.
Yeah.
But then also let in like, you know,
Yeah, I guess I'll challenge you to ask for what would be the ideal though. Like, is it to tour the country doing stand up, an album, or
yeah,
your
oh
own
yeah.
show kind of thing that you produce? What is kind of like what are those more maybe long term or maybe not even so long term goals that you might have?
I loved traveling. I have not really been many places, and I started doing some colleges, and some of the shows are really fun, and some of them are terrible. But it all has that kind of romance that like the start of stand up had, where you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm like getting to do like a bar in Van Nuys. Like, whoa, that's such a I'm such a true blue American comedian. You know, like this is the story. Um, but now it'll be like in Iowa, and I'll be in not a zip car, but a rental car, and it's a truck, and I'm in the middle of a cornfield trying to get to this school so I can bomb in front of 10 like 19-year olds in a basement cafeteria. But I'm thrilled. I'm like, this is incredible. Like, this is why I can't believe like I'm doing it, and I'm like, I'm seeing the world, and so I would love to travel again. Like, I, I, the places I go are places people wouldn't want to go generally, um, but it's all new to me. So I'm excited about about all of it. So
Yeah, you're
if
open
I
to
can like get
possibilities.
traveling,
Yeah, I was gonna say traveling, and it
yeah.
sounds like you're pretty open to possibilities.
In January, I performed on a gay cruise of 5,000 men, uh, the world's largest cruise liner. And it was a wild experience.
I
A
bet.
Caribbean cruise for a week, doing stand up every other night for like 120 60-year old gay men. Just really something else. Oh, I miss the world. You know, that's the fun thing about
They were
stand
all
up.
60. They're all 60. No, you know, one
Almost,
young.
like not all of them, but a lot of them. Like
I see.
the comedy shows, like it's skewed because you know the younger guys, they're getting fucking railed. They're over in like cabin 1342, you know, doing Molly and having a party.
I see. I see how it
um,
works.
so the shows, you know, the shows are kind of, you know, everyone goes, but the shows were kind of for the older crowd, which I loved because it was great. It was a just a wild experience. But that's such a cool thing about stand up is like one day you're in a basement cafeteria at a college bombing for 17 year olds or 19-year olds, sorry. And then the next month you're performing in the middle of the ocean for all these old men. And you're just like, this is like absolutely wild. It takes
That's why I
you
talk to so many
all
comedians to
around.
hear these stories because it's like most people don't have this these interesting, crazy life experiences. But you also probably
Right?
connected with these people, people from all walks of life in different places
Yeah.
through
Oh,
humor.
exactly. Like the diversity of experience is just like unparalleled. It's incredible. It's so incredible.
Yeah, man. Is Jimmy Fallon your favorite SNL cast member, or do you have a favorite of all time?
You know, it used to be Sherry O'Terry. Nothing happened.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like
What
when
did
I
she
was a
do
kid,
wrong?
I was like, I know, right? When I was a kid, I just loved Sherry O'Terry. She made me laugh so hard. I think as an adult, if I'm like really thinking about it, it's probably Tina Fey. It's definitely Tina Fey. But there's so many that I love, but they're all women. And yeah, they're so great. And when I was a kid, Sherry O'Terry was like my absolute favorite. And uh, yeah, she's just so great.
Besides the personal connection to Tina Fey, what is it about her that, kind of makes her jump out at you, even if it's not an official list or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, 30 Rock, and Bossy Pants. I mean, just incredible. Like, just so good.
Yeah, she's pretty talented.
She's like the best. It's like crazy. Oh man. Yeah. Love her.
Sweet. Well, we covered a lot. I think we covered a lot. I think we covered it all. Probably
My
not at
whole
all.
life. Okay.
We could have gone on more tangents for sure. No, I definitely appreciate the time and the stories and hearing your journey, and it's getting me to think about some things in my life and my history and some of the things that we share and the roots, the Long Island roots and all these
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
So it's been fun. Why don't you tell people where they can find you, follow you, anything else you're working on, anything else you want to mention? I'll give you the floor here for all that stuff.
Sure. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Hey Jared Hey. You can watch me on The Unicorn on CBS Thursday nights, and support the Green New Deal.
Cool. Maybe I'll think about it.
Okay.
Sounds good. Have a good night, my friend.
Okay. Good night.
So there you have it, my conversation with Jared Goldstein. That was a lot of fun. I again thank him for his time. Nice to connect with another fellow Long Islander. That was hilarious, though. I'm talking to the dude for 10 minutes before we started recording, and he did not notice my accent at all, if I have one, a Long Island one. And then the second I hit record to record the podcast, he starts cracking up and losing it over my Long Island accent, which he noticed, I guess, at that point. It was funny, though. I love it. But anyway, for everything about this show, of course, head to peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's peoplewelovepodcast.com. At People We Love Podcast on Instagram. At Adam Choid on Instagram and Twitter. And I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. Thanks as always. Let's talk soon. Peace.